Listen up, because what I'm about to tell you is critical. Over the last 72 hours, something unprecedented just happened in the silver market. jpmorgan, the largest and most powerful bullion bank on the planet, has moved a staggering amount of silver out of the COMEX registered vaults. We are talking about $50 billion worth of physical metal, gone in just 3 days. Now, let me put that number into perspective for you, because $50 billion is hard to wrap your head around. That's roughly 500 million ounces of silver. To be clear, that's nearly 60% of the entire registered inventory on the COMEX exchange. Why would the biggest player in the game make such a massive, sudden move? They're not doing this for fun. They're certainly not doing it for exercise. They are doing this because they know what's coming. And what's coming is a financial event that will shake the global system to its very core. The paper silver market is on the verge of collapsing, and jpmorgan is making absolutely sure they're holding the real physical metal when it does. Now, I don't expect you to just take my word for it. That's not how we operate here at MoneyMind Hub Pro. We look at the evidence. So let me show you exactly what I'm seeing. First, just look at the official COMEX inventory reports from this week. On Monday, the registered silver inventory dropped by 8.2 million ounces. On Tuesday, another 11.4 million ounces disappeared. And on Wednesday, 9.7 million more ounces vanished into thin air. That's almost 30 million ounces in just the first 3 days of the week, and the pace is accelerating. But here's where it gets truly fascinating. While jpmorgan is aggressively pulling physical silver out of the COMEX, where do you think it's going? It's heading east. The Shanghai Futures Exchange just reported their largest silver inflow in recorded history. Do you really think that's a coincidence? I don't. Silver is leaving Western vaults and flooding into Asia. We saw this exact same pattern with gold over the last decade, and we all know how that story ended. China is preparing. Russia is preparing. The BRICS nations are all preparing. The only people who don't seem to be preparing are the everyday investors who still place their trust in a fragile paper system. Let's look at the second piece of evidence, the premium spread. Right now, if you try to buy a physical silver coin or bar, you're going to pay somewhere between $32 and $35 an ounce. But the paper spot price you see on TV, it's still hovering around $28. That's a 15 to 25% premium. Let me ask you this. When was the last time you paid a 25% premium just to buy a $20 bill? You never have. Because that would be insane. But that's precisely what's happening in the silver market right now. The physical market is screaming the truth while the paper price is telling a convenient lie. Now, let me tell you something the mainstream media will never, ever report. jpmorgan has been systematically manipulating the silver market for over a decade. And this isn't some wild conspiracy theory. This is a matter of public court record. In 2020, jpmorgan paid nearly $1 billion in fines for manipulating the precious metals markets. Their own traders were convicted of spoofing, placing huge sell orders to artificially crash the price, buying up all the cheap physical silver at the bottom, and then canceling those sell orders. They washed, rinsed, and repeated this cycle for years, suppressing the price of silver while they quietly accumulated the largest private stockpile of physical silver in modern history. At their peak, they held over 150 million ounces, more than anyone since the famous Hunt brothers in 1980. But now, they're not accumulating anymore. They're moving it. And they're not selling it on the open market because that would crash their own position. No, they are transferring it, moving it offshore, getting it out of the system before the entire system breaks down. And when that system finally does break, guess who gets left holding the bag filled with worthless paper contracts? You, me, every single retail investor who trusted the COMEX promise. This is one of the biggest wealth transfers in history, and it's happening right now in real time. The banks are grabbing the real assets and leaving the public with paper promises. Unless you decide to act now. So, what does all this mean for the price of silver? Let me be very clear. Bank of America recently released a report predicting silver will hit $50 by the end of 2025. Goldman Sachs raised their target to $45. Citigroup is calling for a minimum of $40. But here's the crucial detail they are not telling you. These predictions are all based on normal market conditions. They assume the paper market continues to function as it always has. But what happens when that paper market finally breaks? What happens when the demand for physical delivery overwhelms the available supply? What happens when China, India, and Russia are all buying physical silver at the exact same moment the West realizes it's running out? I'll tell you what happens. Silver doesn't just go to 50. Silver goes to $100. So here is my message to everyone watching this video. If you do not own any physical silver yet, you are quickly running out of time. I am not saying this to scare you. I'm saying this because the data is undeniable. COMEX inventories are hitting multi-year lows. Major banks are moving their metal offshore. Eastern nations are hoarding it. Premiums on physical metal are expanding. Mining supply is declining. Every single indicator is flashing red and pointing in one direction. Physical silver is becoming scarce, and scarce things always become expensive. Now, I'm not a financial advisor, and I can't tell you what to do with your money, but I can tell you what I'm doing. I am stacking physical silver every single week. I'm not buying paper ETFs. I'm not gambling on mining stocks. I'm buying real metal that I can hold in my hand. Because when this financial system finally resets, and it will reset, the only thing that will truly matter is what you can physically possess. Paper promises can burn, but gold and silver have survived for 5,000 years. This move by JPMorgan is a signal. It's a massive, flashing neon sign. The biggest bank in America is telling you through their actions, not their words, that the paper game is over. They aren't waiting around. They aren't hoping for the best. They are moving. $50 billion of silver in 72 hours. The only question left is, are you paying attention? That's it for today's breakdown here at Money Mind Hub Pro. If this video helped you understand what's really happening behind the scenes in the silver market, do me a favor and smash that like button. It really helps more people see the truth. And if you're new here, make sure you subscribe because we are covering this story every single day. Drop a comment below and let me know, how many ounces are you stacking this month? I read every single comment. In my next video, I'm going to reveal which 4 regional banks are on the verge of facing silver delivery failures. You will not want to miss it. Until then, keep stacking, keep learning, and keep preparing. This is Money Mind Hub Pro. Stay sharp.